We have been learning about the different causes for the American Revolution. We talked a little bit about the Quartering Act, where people had to keep soldiers in their houses. They did not really have a choice. We talked a little bit about the stamp tax and the tea tax, where the colonists didn't really have representation and they had to pay different taxes and do different things that they didn't want to, right? They said taxation without representation. They were taxed in an unfair way, right? So here we have two very important people during this time period, John Adams and Abigail Adams. Abigail Adams was John Adams' wife. You'll read a little bit about what these two very important people did during this time period. John Adams is most known because he helped to write the Declaration of Independence, but also because he became the second president of the United States. Abigail Adams was John Adams' wife, and she was known for writing letters to her husband, voicing her opinion during this time. She urged him a lot to think about the rights of women and slaves during that time. Her letters also talked about how the hardships that people had when they were left to manage homes and families during that war. So you're going to read a little bit about John Adams and Abigail Adams. After that, you are going to write two short letters. Your first from two different points of view. Your first letter is you are going to pretend that you are Abigail Adams, and you are going to write a letter to your husband, John Adams, voicing your opinions. Well, we want to think about some things that she wrote about, right? It said at the top, it said in the reading, that she spoke a lot about thinking about women's rights. During that time, right? We saw that. Also, she talked about slaves. It also said that she wrote letters about people who were left to manage homes and families. So you might want to write a letter saying something about how you see that women are struggling, or it's very hard for slaves during this time. People have to manage homes and families, and they're being taxed, and they don't have enough money to do so. Right here are some ideas about what you might want to write about. Remember that when you write, you always start at the top by writing dear. Then the person you're writing to, in this case, we're writing to her husband, John. And at the bottom, you're going to write from or sincerely. And remember, you are pretending to be Abigail Adams. The bottom part here, you are pretending that you are John Adams and you are writing a letter to Abigail in response to her letter. So you're going to write, Dear Abigail. And then at the bottom, you're going to write from or sincerely, John. Now it depends what you write in your first letter to see how you're going to write back for your second letter. But remember, it talks about how John Adams, he helped write the Declaration of Independence, so he wanted things to be fair for people. He negotiated different things. He was a lawyer. He wanted things to be fair, right? So some things that you might want to say are maybe, I understand your concern, but, why is it hard? You could also say something like, I am trying my best and finish that. What are you trying your best to do to make sure that slaves are treated fairly, or maybe that big families have enough food and money that they need, right? Different things like that. Now, you do have some text to read here to help, but you can also maybe explore the internet a little bit. Abigail and John Adams are big people during that time period, and you can find more information if you search the internet for them. Make sure that you're writing in full sentences and you include important information. You should always have a heading, who are you writing the letter to, and you should always have a closing so we know who the letter is from.